I was not expecting that. Yeah, another week, another set of... I really need to get a better opening for these games. Ninninger 18, Drive 35, and Garo 11. Okay, first off, Ninninger. This one isn't totally stupid, but it's based on a concept that shows how much this writer doesn't understand anything foreign. Which is kind of a big deal because it's a Yakumo-focused episode, and Yakumo spent years in England. The monster of the week possesses a lawnmower and has the power to brainwash people for short periods of time. But the lawnmower is Yakumo's, and he's kind of obsessed with it because his mother gave it to him when he went to England. Is everybody in this family insane? I actually went and looked this up after the translated line was "A lawnmower is an Englishman's pride." Like, there's a big thing about. Okay, I would definitely understand a thing about gardening, as it was trying to be framed as, take pride in expressions of greenery, and I could get that kind of thing, and kind of tie into some of the Japanese elements of artistry through cultivating like bonsai trees. I know that's an existing hobby there, but in the context, it's a lawnmower. Unless you're doing a hedge mage or patterns in the lawn that you maintain, and lawn mowing is tedious. I know there's a career out of it. My mom pays some people to do a pretty professional job to it. So yeah, take pride in your work, take pride in your hobbies. But this is just, there's no depth to it. Is my problem here? He likes gardening. He likes doing stuff with plants. Okay, I can get behind that. He's obsessed with a lawnmower. What is even the... I'm stuck in a loop here, like trying to not... My mother is a big gardener. Lots of flowers, lots of plants, both inside the house, both outside. She likes cultivating the yard. She likes, keeping it healthy, using it to keep water out of the house because we have a leakage problem when we get drenched in rain. But she's there so she can see her work pay off, so stuff can bloom and be beautiful. And admittedly, she plants some cactus, but the cactuses she plants bloom. So yeah, she likes all that kind of thing. It's kind of an inherent trait. I like building stuff because I like the process of making it, and that's kind of the thing I think I got from her and my father. My dad's an engineer, and so he likes making things, designing things that can be made. It's kind of the family trait. I do props, I do the videos, I do lots of things where I like to build things, my models. But yeah, she expresses it through gardening, and why I'm conflicted on this is I know this is a legitimate hobby. It's just, it's not being expressed as a legitimate hobby. It's being obsessed with a personal item with no big history behind it past it was given to him by his mother, who in previous episodes we established is a flighty, kind of self-absorbed... Okay, let me take this angle from it. I could see it as cherishing something he got from a neglectful mother, that, it's what he holds on to because it's kind of tied into his hobbies without her really understanding the first thing about such hobbies. But the way it keeps getting expressed in the episode is what I have an issue with, because it's just the belovedness of an object that's only use is to cut grass. It does nothing else. Like, you have a good knife. You use it for a lot of things. It's like, it's always sharp, it always dull. You like the knife. I have a multi-tool I love because, you know, it does everything. I use it for everything. It's a bit, I've used it a bit much, so the cutting portion of the pliers always sticks, so it doesn't. But yeah, I could live without this. I love the item, but I don't love it. Like, it keeps getting inferred to in the episode. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's driving me nuts. And this is just one I can just chalk down to eccentricities and not translating, I guess. Because it's probably meant to be funny, but due to my knowledge of all these other things, it's coming off as exasperating. And yeah, that's the majority of the episode. The monster takes control of one of the Niningers at a time. They fight him for a short bit. It wears off. It retreats or takes control of another one until Yakumo starts up in the rotation and, you know, keeps with the bit, so it's deceived into thinking, yeah, it's that its powers are extended. The Ninninger, the rest of the Ninninger are actually pretty smart throughout this. After they retreat for the first time, well, the monster retreats, they go over what they saw from it, led by Katsumi, which is using very good use of her intelligence to lead them through it, and come up with a plan. Make sure one of them, that's not Takaharu, who is affected by it. Takaharu keeps them busy because since he's the strongest, he should be able to hold off one of them without, you know, getting himself in danger, being in danger to the others, and the rest of them will beat it down. This works until Yakumo steps up for the plan because he's probably the second strongest of the main five, and because, you know, he actually has something to fight for to keep the monster alive until he can figure out how to keep it alive. And, you know, I like that everybody's being smart and everybody's using their capabilities correctly. I do. And in fact, Takaharu, this is one of the first times in the show that Takaharu's really been on the teamwork angle when it's suggested they plan ahead to not just push forward to it. So I like that, especially because it's Fuka that reins him in for his idiocy. Like, she's had enough with it, and it works. It makes her seem like a whiny brat with how it's expressed, but I think whacking him over the head would personally have been very therapeutic. Fuka is, of course, the second one for once that is affected by the monster, Takaharu being the first because brash-headed, bull-headed. It actually works narratively this time. I do have a problem with it, though. Since Fuka's consistently been crapped on throughout the show, suddenly her being... you expect her to be controlled, but then when she's controlled, she's stronger than the rest of them, even though she's regularly shown... Well, she's regularly the butt of the jokes, as I keep complaining. So it ends up being character inconsistency. So which side do you want? I want to see them stop treating her like an invalid. I don't want to see automatic complete reversal in how it's depicted. I don't know, maybe it's trying to be she's holding back because she's not actually giving her all into this ninja nonsense. Maybe that's it. Maybe her own exasperations, like, is giving her a mental block or something. But I like that she wasn't the first automatic one, and I like that she got a badass moments even when she did come under its influence, and for the longest time out of everyone, yeah, she was affected the longest when you factor in Yakumo's first collapses, when he goes from controlled to pretending to be controlled. End of the episode has some issues for me. After they convince Yakumo to finally beat it down because yokai, it's their job, they, it goes giant, they start pulling the mechs. This is both baffling and enjoyable. The monster uses its power to take control of the main mech in the combination, the one that sits in the throne, to disable the combination, because that's the critical piece of it. It's the center mech in the combination is the controller, and it has its own sentience, so it stops working for the Ninninger. Good use, good forethought on that. So they decide to, for some reason, call in Surfer Maru, who was taken by Kinji last episode. Admittedly, they'd already gone through 2, possibly 3, and the issue with it was none of them were fast enough after they combined to really do anything once it started targeting them. This I don't so much mind, except when they go from Shurikenjin and Drago, yes, I actually remember the names thing, to Shurikenjin UFO. UFO Maru isn't docked with it. Let me rephrase. Right after UFO Maru docks, it's hit by the beam. So it's not like I both like this because it's acting in real time. Like while it was combining, it had the time to do it. But then, what was the point of even doing that intermediary combination if you're going to show it completely useless in there? So it felt like it was just a pointless time waster to swap out the suits. So they call Surfer Maru, and Surfer Maru was still with Kinji, so Kinji is pulled back to Japan after he had taken Surfer Maru on vacation in Hawaii before he went home. Yeah, Kinji's going to be back now. They didn't even bother a full episode before bringing him back in the cast. I would honestly waited an episode. I mean, not sure, called back Surfer Maru, but forgotten that since Kinji was supposedly on vacation, like get a complaint call from him or something about stealing his partner Nin when Yoshitaka had given to him as a farewell present. The only reason they could call it, however, is because they didn't give him the combination shuriken for it, which I think was a kind of a big why didn't you think of that moment? But it was Takaharu that did it, so this is just the Takaharu is an idiot thing. And not in a bad framework for it. It's being forgetful. It's not intentional idiocy. Which is my problem much of the time with idiocy is it's intentional. It's more than just persona. So yeah, people forget things all the time. I don't complain about that kind of thing because it's more a humanizing factor than a caricature factor. So Kinji's back, and this is kind of the problem I had with the ending. Instead of closing out on this being an actual Yakumo story, with Kinji back in Japan, they go to him immediately and suggest that he stick with them. Instead of it being framed as a Yakumo Kinji moment, it's completely focusing on him, which seems out of place because this has been a Yakumo-focused episode. It's like, it's continuing the arc from before, but in a framework that doesn't work for the cohesiveness of the episode. And yeah, they're just suggesting that he train with them, and they all try to convince Yoshitaka together that he should still be in the running because he's really damn strong, he's really good against yokai. It's finally trying to bring him into the team instead of being the outsider, which was what they were trying to do in the last episode, until this stupid farewell thing, which was out of place, very out of place. So, here's my thing. Here's the question I have. If you're going to do it the end of the next episode anyways, why didn't you just do it last episode? Maybe have him off getting the rest of some critical thing back in America if you want to leave him out of the episode, but the way it's done, it seems like it's pointless to even have that kind of ending when you're not really going to have that be the end of it. So yeah, good episode when it's not focused on the stupid concept. But, you know, you can have well-crafted crap. Except this wasn't really crap, it was just lackluster. Drive. I did not expect this. I expected this to be Brain's last laugh. I didn't expect this to start an arc episode, which it did. And I was quite impressed. I don't know if the resolution's clear enough, but I have a bunch of Jonichi Katsuya, aka Joey Wheeler, pictures up here because this is actually a meme, the weird expression Shin thing with him, and I have that up because I'm not even kidding, Brain's actor legitimately can do it. It was all his gleeful voices, not voices, expressions. It's extreme emoting, and I'm amazed it actually exists, and it's not just ugly art styling. And now we know it's not just ugly art styling. It's actually based on a real thing, which I thought was kind of Ryoma Takeuchi. I apologize if I'm botching the last name. He's the actor who portrays Shinosuke in Drive. That's actually where I got the base image. He actually retweeted that on Twitter and said, yeah, that's totally live-action Jonichi. Not exactly those words. I saw this a couple days ago. I'm sorry. It was related, so my brain brought it up. Apologies if I'm a bit inaccurate, but if you look for the guy's Twitter, you can probably find it in the queues a bit back. But yeah, this is creating a new arc for it, and it was both a good build-up, because it plays off a lot of past continuity, and bringing back a big complaint from before. Now, several times in the middle of this Who Killed My Father arc for Shinosuke, not my father, Who Killed Shinosuke's Father arc, I've repeatedly stated that Brain should not have been able to infiltrate the police department because they have visual evidence of Brain transforming into a Roidmude. Now, this episode is reliant on all of the encounters with previous Roidmudes being recorded and viewable by an audience. And Brain was not present for several of those, meaning external sources need to have recorded those. And what external source have we constantly had in the series? Crim and the Shift Cars. So, to recycle footage from incidents where Crim and the Shift Cars were present would mean one of those sources has to be the provider of that visual evidence. The big plot hole of this is, of course, Brain. They have footage of Brain recording in the same way they're using this as evidence against Shinosuke and the rest of them. Brain is, of course, framing in the context of all these previous incidents of the Special Unit Division aiding and abetting Roidmude attacks in some type of civil war over their existence, because of all the personal incidents during the character development arc that had Roidmude involvement. It's seeing as if they're corruption and twisting the facts in the cases that are not available to the public. And because this was all presented to the public and the police at large, who had their memories mostly wiped about any Roidmude incidents, it builds a framework from false knowledge that is not contradictable by the facts, because the facts are not publicly known. I both love and hate this. I love it because it's very well presented reason why everyone would turn on them, because, you know, it's misinformation. I hate this because too many people do this. It seems like overexposure of it again. I don't mean narratively. I mean real fucking life. You can name a lot of individuals, Fox News, ABC News, oh god, so many news organizations that aren't reporting the truth. They're twisting it to get the ratings and all the people that prey on this, the Jack Thompsons of video game obsession, for example, and since I now post these on YouTube, I don't want to name names, but you all know who I'm talking about, because that will be a shitstorm in and of itself. But yeah, use misinformation, false and half-truths to build a context to the people, and sets the people trying to straighten them out under public ridicule, so no one believes them when they're telling the truth. Kind of ironic, because, you know, the people that normally do this are ones that, you know, advocate for this same kind of thing. You gotta be the truth, unless it's about me. So, the difference, of course, being Brain doesn't want the truth getting out. He wants them gone, so Roy Mutes can do what they want. Of course, everything is not helped by the special division allowing Shinosuke to go on the run, so when it would have been better to just confront these allegations straight on with presenting their own evidence, or, you know, telling people that they'd been investigating Nira, so this is just a preemptive strike, especially due to Nira's collaboration. Hell, they revealed the Makage Sokichi stuff, and everybody in the police unit division knows that he was Makage's lapdog. Makage being Freeze, if you've not been watching the show, but my previous vlogs. I finally got his name in my head. Why is it only after he's gone do I actually remember it? And this is kind of more of the same, because they needed visual records from Krim and the shift cars. That means Nira's confession to killing Shinosuke's father is also on record, and they just need to get the gun, which Nira has, to showcase that it's the one that actually killed him. So, Shinosuke goes on the run, trying to get to Nira so he can arrest him and bring him in, and yeah, why would that automatically fix things? Why would arresting Nira automatically fix a reputation when, you know, actually that's the big plot hole in all this. Why didn't they tell anyone that Nira is a Roidmute collaborator? That would have been a big thing that would have discredited him. Hell, it would have, even implying, like with everyone else, that Nira has evidence of, that implicates him, would put this on suspicion with other people. I mean, with Makai gone, there have to be other higher-ups than Nira himself. Just because he's the captain of the Tokyo Police Force doesn't mean there aren't people above him. So, I'm curious why none of them were in on this. Hell, why aren't they intervening in this whole special unit division thing when they had to set it up? Nira is not the end-all, be-all of the police now that Makage is gone. There have to be more people here. People involved with management. Hell, that's another thing Kuga did right. Oh god. I'm comparing Kuga and Drive on their executions of the merits of police officers. Seriously, why does no one watch Kuga? Kuga is great. Kuga doesn't make people out to be idiots. Nowhere. You really don't see them anywhere. It's the fridge logic thing, and you know what? The fridge logic was working good with Drive retconning in manipulation of the police department. That was a great retcon, and yet, though I have to admit, Shinosuke is, while he's on the run, is constantly praising police work for almost getting close to him and following him all the way. So it's like grunt level, good, higher up, potential corruption when... So eventually, Nira leads them to the Special Unit Division's offices where he holds a gun on Shinosuke and calls, well, everybody else and says hostage situation is going on. Which put, I would have honestly been a bit amused at this if Shinosuke had fallen back to fight off Brain when Nira went off on his own. It's like the splitting of sides. And Shinosuke prioritizing Brain, because Brain is the big ally that's facilitating all of Nira's nonsense in this. And since Nira called the police ahead of time to said the hostage situation was going on, if Shinosuke went after Nira after he dealt with Brain and then found all the media circus going on, and everybody sees everything going on and puts cameras on him and puts the shots on him, and someone said, "Wait, aren't you supposed to be inside?" And that would have been like a good snap realization moment that Nira had been manipulating all of it, and it would have been really funny and really appropriate for unraveling the schemes of this guy. But nope, we get the dramatic tension moment, which admittedly is also good, but it's like Shinosuke's the super genius cop that's just stuck in neutral has been pretty much been gone for the hot-blooded justice seeker that honestly I don't like as much. It's like he's being forced into situation after situation after situation at someone else's whims, and he's not thinking of how to outsmart them, when admittedly on the early side of the show the stories were weaker, so it was easier to see him being outsmarted. It's not seeing him as the talented cop that he's supposed to be. So there's this character disconnect by him being blindly tricked repeatedly all of this time. Admittedly, this is by Brain, and Brain just super evolved. And maybe he's more intelligent now, that facilitates the easy duping of him, especially if they have his emotions running ahead of him. Brain's super evolution. I think they should have gone with different colors. I think it should have been like a shiny version of his normal color palettes, like, brighter in color and not necessarily the golden shine constantly, because you get sick of gold if you see it too much. And I think it worked with Freeze, because Freeze went from silver to gold, and his costume now doesn't look good in the gold coloring. I don't know. Maybe to save on production costs, they just put a filter over his normal costume area, because I think it would have been kind of expensive to reproduce the costume just with a different color tints. I don't know. My perception of how expensive a costume is kind of biased, but he and Medic do get to face off, which I think is pretty impressive to show how deadly a super evolution is past Freeze, who was already pretty damn powerful even for his base Roidmude form, whereas Brain was just, he's strong, but the more difficult thing about him was how cunning he was, which admittedly got pulled back when Medic happened. And versus Medic, that was therapeutic for a few of us, because we've not liked Medic, and Medic is kind of one note, and getting a bit more with Brain and him being Brain-sama, you must call me Brain-sama thing was kind of, oh yeah, it was arrogant in the extreme, but considering the cats and dogs thing going on between him and Medic, I'm saying it is very cathartic, and you kind of can't help but side with Brain on this, because his plans got screwed over, and Medic takes Medic blames him and condemns him, whereas um, her plans get ruined and she kills their own kind, despite, the naming of medic, and nothing happens to her, and in fact tries to twist it so that Brain's the real one to blame. Yeah, that duplicitousness just because she's a she, yeah, that was nice to kind of balance the sides there. So the episode ends with Nira holding a gun on Shinosuke and saying that in an hour he'll be dead. And I'm kind of curious how they're going to run this, because it's from the previews there, it's implying Shinosuke is going to shoot Nira or be driven farther after all of this. And there's something else I forgot to mention. Yukari, from a few episodes ago, the girl who 12 years back was the only one to retain her memory of the incidents of Shinosuke's father dying, she is brought back because it was thought that Nira would go after her because she remembers who shot Shinosuke's father. So, obvious target there. And it works very well for that, especially since when Nira first goes after her, Brain's fused with him into the thief mode, and she's stung. So everybody's split different way. All the writers are split different ways. Shinosuke's on the run from the police. Chase is battling Brain while he needs to get to Yukari to help her because he has the Mad Doctor shift card that can help her, and Go is still struggling to come to terms with having his father in a iPad. Oh, and Hart just went after him because they need Professor Bono to continue development of the promised number and what that means. So the tension is very good because all these forces that were together to fight the Roidmudes are all divided both by their own pursuits and their own kind. So it's very good right now. The show has jumped majorly in quality. There are still logical hiccups here, but overall I can complain far less. Garo Goldstorm. Gold is still in the he's in custody of... He is in the custody of Jinga and Amelie. Why do I remember these names all of a sudden? And of course, he doesn't have the Hoken, so he's being held hostage, so whoever's been helping Gulm can give them the Hoken, or he'll just die and they'll hunt it down themselves. They have figured out who's been helping him because they've been watching him. And tracing transmissions from his doll, which we previously thought was a Madogu, back to a house in the forest, which the puppet comes to Ryuga and Rian and leads them to the same location, simply because the one who's been talking through the puppet is not a Madogu, it's Gold's sister, Haruna. And this episode is mainly focused on giving his backstory, that he and his sister ended up in the village after their parents were killed, to the village being the ones who sealed Radam and the Oken originally. So they know all this stuff, and Gold was obviously trained by them, with his sister kind of being a second. We're not sure why she... It's implied she's a full Makai... lesser Makai priestess as well. So, I don't know. Maybe the show's probably not going to focus on her, so maybe they didn't want to overtouch on that. I was half paying attention throughout the episode. But it showed that his hatred of Makai Knights is not based on the teachings of the village, because the village, past a certain point in their tutelage, ask their children to become either a Makai Knight or a Makai Priest, and Gold declared, "I hate Makai Priests," and took up the brush. Now, if the entire village is Makai Knights, that's gotta... How many Makai Knights are there in the worlds of Garo? I mean, we've seen around, I want to say, a dozen over the franchise, but there's got to be more out there due to almost every city having sectors. So I'm curious on how dense or... I mean, we already know that horrors only appear when certain objects build up too much negative karma, so it figures that it'd be wise to center them in population centers, because that's where the horrors would come in more prominently. But between... forgetting the guy's name, the secondary Makai Knight of this series. Please don't answer in the comments. I really should be able to remember his name by this point. I got nothing. Starts with a D. Anyways, between the two of them, it shows that there's a network in place, not for just supporting Makai Knights and whoever they next choose to train into the armor. There's this whole system of training them, keeping them alive, telling them everything they should know. That's not just a master-student dynamic, but entire schools and villages dedicated to this, which I like. It's kind of subtle with how they're presenting it. It's not taking the focus, but it's giving these details regardless. Of course, Amelie and Jinga send a horror after it, and it's plant-themed, and all of the CGI for the plants is pretty well executed, I want to say. I kept getting flashbacks to the stuff they kept using in Kamen Rider Gaim for all the Helheim stuff, except it seemed a bit more realistic. I think the CGI was a bit more developed for this episode than what they had for most of Gaim, which is odd, because I thought they would have, developed the models a bit better, since the CGI models that they just move around, since they would be using them so much. According to some research points, the CGI departments for Toei work for peanuts anyways. Actually, that's a consistent complaint. That's a consistent issue with Toei. They don't really pay their staff the money they should be. Regardless, their defense and wish to help her brother over the Oken itself makes her give them the Oken. She's struggling to hold it up because it's soul metal, and she's not a Makai Knight, which does a detail and consistent element of the show I like. So, now they've retrieved the sword. Hooray! Next piece in the chain. Save Gold from Jinga and Amelie. That might be difficult because they tossed him in a cell in a place that they don't quite know about, and actually, that's pretty much how the show's serialization has been going. It's a series of mini-quests. Not exactly how you do serialization, but it's something. It's very much something. And at least it's keeping all of the main cast involved regularly. Okay, updates. Working on Dragon Knight. Should have that done this week. Working on something special this weekend for the YouTube page. Exclusively for the YouTube page. One of my associates for my card game stuff has been working on some title cards, which I am eternally grateful for. And I am trying to get to G-Fest. G-Fest is a convention held in Rosemont. It's a It's actually a tokusatsu convention based around Godzilla, and there are a few movies that they're playing I want to see because I don't have copies of them. They're older movies, but I like older movies. So, if by any chance any of my viewers see this and are in the Chicago area and are going to go to G-Fest, I might see you there. I'll say hi to you if you walk up to me or whatever. Oh, who am I kidding? These videos get best 100 views a week. The guidance. The Gain guidance. Yes, some people have subbed them. No, I'm not trusting those subtitles because they're groups that have their first thing be that those videos. Now, I have the actual DVD of, not DVD, Blu-ray of the movie, not movie, specials, but I've been busy and no stops on the disc. I'm still waiting for either Overtime or TV Nikon to do them. And if you're a newbie here that asks, why don't I use Izir? I don't like Izir's translation of the show. That was a kind of a thing a while back, and I feel they didn't really understand subtext and nuance, which is critical to understanding Gen Urobuchi works, and I don't want to get back into that. But I'm saying that I'm still waiting. Hopefully, another week or two, somebody I actually have a preference for my fan subs will have them available. If not, something else to wait for. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. Still new content going to YouTube. Trying to get off Blip because Blip's sinking very fast right now. So follow the YouTube page. Alright, thanks guys.